Excellent. Thank you. So welcome everybody to this handover meeting on it's the 5th of July 2021. Yeah, welcome Pam. Just looking for other guests we've got with us. Jim Matthews. Jim, if you'd just like to maybe introduce yourself. You can unmute, I think.
Good afternoon all. I won't bring you the greetings from Leicester Novus because I dare say Pam will have done that and it's assumed anyway. But it's great to be with you on such an auspicious day. Good luck, Scott.
Thank you, Jim.
Thank you, Jim. And Eddie, would you like to say a couple of words? Oh, you just did. There we go.
There we go. Yeah, just to say thank you for your warm welcome, Parmdeep. Things are looking fantastic for next year, having had a great year this year. And we'll obviously talk more about that in a few minutes. So thanks very much for the warm welcome.
Okay, thank you. And Colin as well. You've got Elaine written down as your, but you're not Elaine. I know you're Colin. So if you want to just say hello and maybe you just need to unmute first.
Yeah. Hello, everybody. It's good to see everybody and to join you again. And it's unbelievable that another year has gone by, Parmdeep. And I understand you've done great things. So I'm looking forward to hearing what you say and also what Scott has to say. Well,
thank you for asking me in the first place. If it wasn't for that phone call from you, I wouldn't be here. So thanks.
Yeah, sorry about that. Do I need to unmute myself now again?
You can just go back on mute, yeah. I've just seen Muriel has joined us, so welcome, Muriel.
Hello. Nice
Good to have you with us again.
Thank you.
Okay, right. So at this point, do we have any greetings from other clubs? I think we might have covered that, but just in case I've missed anybody.
It was good to have Jim bring greetings from Novus for a change. Thank you, Jim.
That's nice, thanks.
Sorry, I think I was on mute. Hello, everyone.
Yes, no, we heard you. Thank you.
Okay, that's fine.
That's great, yeah. Okay, anybody else I've missed? No. Okay, so I'm just going to go straight into reflecting on my year as president. So at this point, I need to just quickly figure out the... Barry, again, sorry about this. If you could go to share screen, I think it is. There's a little arrow next to that, and then you can allow, I think it's advanced or something, and you can then allow me to share my screen. Yeah, it's you click, there's a little arrow next to share screen and then you click advanced.
Yeah, here we are, script share content. Screen.
I know it's Barry sharing his screen.
Oh yeah, Barry?
Yeah.
So what you do, you know where it says share screen on your Zoom?
Yeah.
Next there's a little arrow.
A little pointy arrow, is it? Like a little,
yeah,
very tiny in the top right hand corner, I'm guessing.
Yeah, this is on my iPad, so it may be different from what you're expecting.
Okay, I'll be very quick. I'll see if I can get in through here. 1 second. Yeah, I'm just logging in from my account.
Apologies for the technical problems.
So, 1 second. 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 1 second Yeah, I'm going to log in. Yeah, I'd log in as host. There we go. Yeah, that all right now. Okay.
Certainly disabled.
Yeah, just give me 2 seconds and it'll be done. So,
Okay. So,
yep. Yeah, do you want sharing sound for yours?
yeah, probably. Yeah.
Okay, if everybody can see that, could you give me a thumbs up? Excellent. Right. So, reflecting on my year as president of the Rotary Club of Leicester. So I'll just start with last year and what I was doing. So February, here I am in South Africa, completely had a great time and really had no awareness of what was going on in terms of the COVID. Well, I had very little awareness, apart from when I arrived in Cape Town and they zapped my forehead with a laser and they just kind of waved us through and that was it. It was very kind of calm and pretty normal as far as I could tell. So I got back and late February, I went to India with my wife for her brother's wedding. We were there for 2 weeks and things were getting a bit different there. I noticed that the locals were afraid of Europeans. They didn't really want to be too close to us. And the interesting thing that I saw at our hotel in Jaipur, which looked a bit like that fort, that's a famous one, it's a different one, but if you imagine that kind of thing, but a hotel, there's about 70 rooms and only 2 of them are occupied, and we were in one of them. So that started to kind of ring alarm bells in terms of the tourist industry, and we kind of spoke to the locals about that, and they were very worried, and it was all kind of starting to happen at that point. So I got back after spending that time in South Africa with a plan to help a chap called John McGrath, who came to speak at our club. I think he came to speak just after I took over as president. And he's an incredible guy. He ran gyms in townships in South African schools in some of the poorest areas, just to get kids off the street. And because he was an professional athlete, he rode for Ireland and did all sorts of other interesting things. He was able to create a couple of Olympians from his gyms. I think the guy in the top left is an Olympic high jumper, I think. So amazing cause, amazing man. We even managed to get a Rotary Club out there to support what we were going to do. And obviously then it all just fell apart once COVID hit. So that was really kind of a big shock in terms of my plans at the time. So it was a case of trying to figure out what's going to happen next. And really on a personal level, I had to become a school teacher for a while. And that had its challenges because I'm now trying to get my work done. My wife's also at home. You're trying to teach the kids, you're trying to entertain them, and it was difficult, but it took some getting used to. But we were very lucky that we could make it work. And I even managed to, so this is one my wife hasn't seen because I had my kids with me, taking them on building sites and all sorts of things. So that was my life at the time. But like I said, we were lucky, and unfortunately many of our members weren't so lucky, in the sense of they suffered from, I could see members starting to suffer from the effects of loneliness, and how I saw how important the fellowship aspect of Rotary was and is. So that was really something that got to me, and we tried our best at the time to keep members engaged. And Zoom it's great, but it has, as I'm sure many of you will realize and agree with me, it has many limitations in terms of the fellowship aspect. So, we had to make do with what we had at the time. And so we managed to continue from there. But what happened was that individuals and families from all walks of life in our cities suffered terribly due to the effects of the continued lockdown, and food bank usage in particular soared. And my first sort of feeling of for food banks that came from this little project I did with Chris, where we put some shelving up at Age UK, and I got to speak to some of the people there, the volunteers there, and they started to tell me about how food is the need for food from local families who simply couldn't get enough to feed their families, and they had to have it donated to them. So I had a bit of a feel for that, and I'm forever grateful to both Rodney and John Saunders for pointing me to a brand new initiative at the time called Rotary for Food Banks. And so I think it was advertised in the newsletter, in the Rotary magazine, and contacted them. And that scheme was great because it allowed our club to make a great difference in the community, whilst leveraging the substantial infrastructure that other quality organisations have built. And this is one of them, the Midlands Lunga Seva Society. So we ended up choosing 5 food banks. They were one of them. Age UK, who you just saw there, was the other. And there was there is Help the Homeless, Open Hands, and the Xynthia Trust. So we managed to get 5 food banks together. And so just to kind of understand how it works, I started doing food deliveries. And that's me and my daughter. And the two of us, well, my son usually comes as well. We've done a delivery every Sunday since October now. We've only missed 2, and that was just because of other things came up. But it's been a fantastic experience being in the community and getting the food to local people and making that difference. And so if that's, I will be continuing that because I've enjoyed it so much. I would recommend anybody else who wants to find an easy way, very straightforward, to just get involved in the community and help people to get involved with organisations like those. So we ended up raising well over 13,000 plus, I think another couple of thousand from the golf that Simon ran. So I think we're running around 15,000 we've raised as a club collectively for local food banks, which is I'm very proud of. So this is a model, I guess, that I presented very early on, which I tried to stick to, which was really, I kind of imagined my year as a positive feedback loop, where if we could get more, so say, for example, we started with the projects, which are in the middle on the right-hand side. If we have more projects, we can get more volunteers. And if we can get more volunteers, we can get more publicity. From more publicity, we can get more fundraising. And then that feeds back into getting more projects. And hopefully, that's really how I try to run the year. And, we're at a point now where, for example, on the volunteers, potentially have over 20 road tractors ready to go in the new club that we created. Publicity-wise, on YouTube, we've had several thousand views of our videos that we've been putting up, and so things did progress quite satisfactorily. Scott and Dana did a fantastic job leading the Christmas and Easter hamper appeals, so that was fantastic to be involved with that. We also, as I mentioned earlier, Dana did a great job with the sensory garden. This is how the road track came about. We had one of a DMU student just contacted us via email wanting to know a bit more about the club, and we invited her along to do a collection for Vista, a local charity. We were collecting those money boxes that you see at various shops, and so from there we built a bit more of a relationship, and she wanted to potentially start a road track club. In fact, one of her friends ended up becoming the president instead, and so that's how that came about. We also did that's the hamper appeal. So that one student there led to over 15 helping out put together these hampers, which were then delivered to local food banks. And that's you can see a bunch of students from De Montfort University there. And that's again delivering presents and hampers. We also did many other things. One of them, for example, and this really got to me. I can't see it very well here because it's covered by the thing. But if you look on the left-hand side, that's just some phones I've got that we donated. So you think, okay, it's a phone. We've all got phones lying around at home. We don't think much of them, I suppose, the old ones. And Moira donated, I think, about 4 of them. So it's really nice. To make the donation. I didn't think much of it until I got a picture back from Camille Johnson, who's a Rotarian who was visiting Leicester at the time. She took them back to India. If you look at the picture on the right, that's just one of the phones being used by 4 students to do their homework. So where at my house, each of my children had a laptop or a tablet, they're able to get their schoolwork done. You can just see the impact one small old mobile phone can make to the lives of children in some of these developing countries. So that was the kind of thing we did. Simon Grivet, as I mentioned, did a fantastic job with the we twinned with the Rotary Club of Bordeaux. You'll read more about this in my newsletter piece. But I'd just like to quickly finish with a couple of stories. So before you start thinking I'm really competent and this is all planned and everything else, I'd like to tell you about a couple of cock-ups. So one I did with the food banks. I was very busy that day. My kids were trying to rush me. They wanted to go and see, they wanted to go somewhere, I don't remember. But all I remember is getting the food into the car. I must have put a bunch of pies on the top of the car and just forgotten to take them back down again and put them in the car. So I drove off with this, about 20 pies on the top of my car. And as you can imagine, I hit about 30 miles an hour. And I just heard this slide and I thought, what's that? That's odd. I didn't think much of it until I saw in my rearview mirror these 20 pies just kind of littering the road. And so we had to get out and pick them all up. And the food bank saw the funny side of it, but we didn't. And the other one I did was a very generous Rotarian from our club, very generously gave a check, several checks actually, but the first one I didn't even realize was there. I opened I got a card saying, you know, well done, you're doing very well. So I just took the card out, put the card up, I thought, fantastic. I emailed him and said thanks. And only a couple of weeks later did somebody mention to me, did you get the check? And I said, what check? There wasn't a check there. So luckily I'd saved the envelope, found this check in there, and managed to get the check over to David Brunton. That's not the end of it. He then sent another check, which again, I got in a card. So this time I got the card, saw the check, wonderful, put the card and the check to one side with my post. Later that day, my daughter was looking for something, I think some kind of, maybe a birthday card, because it was near her birthday. She saw this card, and later she told me, I saw something in there that looked like a receipt, so I threw it away. So that's how the second check got lost. I then had to go back to this member and say, I've now lost the second check. Can you send me a third one? So that was very, very embarrassing. But we managed to get both of those donations in. So there were some cock-ups along the way. And I'd just like to thank all the Rotarians that helped me along the way. Richard Power did a fantastic job with the COVID updates that he gave all the way throughout. Clive Smith, Santa Claus, we had a great time. Barry Davies helped me a lot with the administrative side. David Howard on foundation and raising money. Ed, excellent job finding speakers, and I'm sure Ed will do a great job with Scott as well. Bob Collins, David Brunton, and many ex-presidents who I met and gave me some very valuable mentoring along the way. So, and last but not least, I thank all the members for your generous donations and support. It's been much appreciated in my time as president. So I wish Scott Gallacher all the best for his year, and I'm sure he's going to do a fantastic job. I've gotten to know Scott really well over our bridge sessions. Every week we've been playing, and he's a fantastic guy, and his heart is really in the right place, and he'll make a great president. And at this point, I pass him the chain of office. So do we stand up? Yeah. Okay. So so I now pass this over to Scott and welcome him as the new president of the club.
Cheers. Thank you very much, Parmdeep. Just 1 second, just change the presentation.
Yep.
Yeah, that's fine. Let's show on your side as our club year 2021-2022. Yeah, is that being shared? Excellent, fantastic. Okay, thank you, Parmdeep. I think we'd all agree that Parmdeep's been a fantastic president during what is probably one of our most challenging years in recent times for the pandemic. I think he's done fabulously on the Zoom meetings, and whilst it's not the same as a real meeting, I do think it has helped maintain that fellowship through this time. And I'm honoured to follow him as president of our club for this year. This year's RI theme is Serve to Change Lives. And I think it's clear that service not only benefits those that we serve, but also ourselves in terms of our own development and our own well-being. I think when we're doing things for other people, I think we get a lot out of it ourselves in many ways. Our immediate past President Parmdeep spoke in his year of talking less and doing more. And despite the challenges of the pandemic, I think he achieved that. You know, the food bank appeal, the hamper appeals, and starting a new Rotary club were all fantastic achievements during that very difficult year. That theme of talking less and doing more is something that I hope to build on in my year as president. It's not all good news. Rotary, certainly in the West, does have an issue with an ageing membership and a declining membership as well. It's one of the things that we as a club are slightly better positioned. We have a larger membership in most clubs, and actually I think we've had a positive year in members under Parmdeep, so I think that's good news, but it's something that we need to be aware of. I think also worryingly, we lost some fantastic Rotarians over the last few years. And one of the things I've noticed is that their children are not always Rotarians, which is strange because some of them were second or third generation Rotarians. So it's a thing we need to look at. And so approximately, we lost about 28% of our members over the time that I've been a member, which hopefully isn't down to my membership, but is just a reflection of the general trend. The good news is that Rotary itself does have a 4-point action plan to try and address this. And the 4 points are impact, reach, engagement and adaptability. If I run through those briefly in turn. So, well, impact, what does that mean? Well, it's actually just service, really. It's about doing things for other people. And Rotary generally has a great track record on that with the End Polio Now campaign and lots of other projects. And of course, our own club has done fantastic. So in the time I've been a member, we've had the Bradgate Park Visitors Centre, we've had Richard's Gondor appeal, so we've done great locally and internationally, and then the food bank appeal last year. Moira does a fabulous job with youth projects. We've got Kids Out, Ryder, Calvert, and then recently we've added the Christmas hamper and the Easter egg hamper appeal, both of which I hope to continue. So as Parmdeep said, a case of talking less and doing more. Well, reach. Well, what does reach mean? Well, really, it's just about telling people that we do, what we do. And I think there's a number of ways we can do that. I think we need to tell our family, friends, work colleagues, neighbours what we do. The picture of the lady with a donation to the Christmas hamper appeal is actually one of the mothers from one of Parmdeep's children's school. So just a case of having a conversation or it being on social media means that people are aware of what we do, and if we're doing good things and people are aware of it and there are attractive things for people to be involved in, people want to get involved. So of course that ticks that one of those 4 points of reach. What I'd like to do, and I just need to liaise with Ed and some of the people in the club, is I would like a couple of bring a friend and bring a work colleague and perhaps bring a family member days at the club, because one of the things is I think the club's great, hopefully all of my fellow members agree, but we need to share that with people. I know Rodney brings Pam a lot. I don't think I've brought my spouse, which is probably a bit of a failing. And I haven't brought as many friends and work colleagues to meetings as I should have done. And I think that's something that we should be doing more, again, part of that reach thing. And then on social media, we have accounts on Facebook, LinkedIn and Twitter. And what we need to be doing is, if you're on social media, and if you're not, you should be on, what you need to be doing really is hopefully you're following the club on the various accounts. Hopefully you're liking the social media posts we've put out. But also if you can share or retweet those posts. And what that does is that shares the story of Rotary with other people. So people see it more. So it's more a case of telling people. And it's very easy to do, and it helps spread the word of it. Social media is incredibly powerful for the club. When I first started, and I had perhaps a bit more time, I did the Purple Clothes Day, or essentially a non-uniform day. And by the use of social media, we were able to engage clubs from Australia to Zimbabwe and beyond. And I think in total, just our club, but the clubs involved totally raised something like over $10,000 for End Polio Now. And it was a very easy concept, very easy to do on social media. But of course, it had worldwide impact. And I know that the Australian club carried it on for several years after we kind of stopped. So I think that's important. So again, a case of doing more, but also telling people about it. So building on Parmdeep's theme from last year. Engagement. Essentially, I think this is 3 elements. I think it's service, fellowship, and development. I think it's rightly. But I think we're engaged when we're doing things. So, all the things that we do, the Christmas hamper appeal, Dana's doing an International Women's Day event, I think in March, I think it is, Easter egg appeal, music in the park. We've got Rob and Tim joining us from Wigston, so hopefully they're going to organise that for us. Kids out, right, all the things that we already do. And I think people are engaged when you're actually doing things. Fellowship. I think we probably should do more fellowship. Obviously, last year was very difficult with social distancing and lockdown, but hopefully this year, as we hopefully return to some kind of normality and hopefully safety, and hopefully we can do more things. So, lunch at our own clubs, but also other clubs, golf, which I do not play because I'm terrible, and bridge, which for me has been fantastic. So once a week at least, I've been able to meet other Rotarians online and play bridge. That's been good. Minor Sports, which Mark and Dale has kindly agreed to kind of look after us again. And then we'll look at some social evenings. Tara's running, going to organise a curry night. I think if we can try to do a theatre night during the year and possibly a New Year walk as well would be nice. And then development, again, part of engagement. Rotary is great for building skills in terms of, just being at meetings, listening to other people. We have some fantastic Rotarians. To hear the stories of what people have done in their lives is amazing, and the skills and knowledge that they have to pass to other people is great. I think there's an element of networking. I think Rotary has always been networking with a small end, but I think it is an important part of why people join Rotary. And again, so I think people benefit from that way. So those three things, service, fellowship and development, is I think how people are engaged, and we just need to make sure that those are all available for everybody. Now, adaptability, this is probably quite a buzzword, I think, at Rotary Central, as it were. And how can we adapt quickly to a changing world? I think we've done fabulously well under Parmdeep with the online meetings, which there was not an age barrier as well. I think a lot of people seem to think that once you're beyond a certain age, you can't embrace technology. I think all our members did fabulously well. And I think it's a case of, for me, it's a case of evolution, not revolution. I think we love our club and we don't want to chuck anything out. So I think it's more a case of just adding, not taking away. So I think of doing more on top of what we already do. And finally to that, I'd add collaborate. I think Richard Power has spoken about this before. I think we need to collaborate with each other, working together on projects. Other Rotary clubs, especially the Leicester clubs. I've been to both Novus's and De Montfort's handover meetings and hope to continue attending those meetings as far as I can moving forward. Other organisations, we've now got a corporate membership with Lois and John Knight joining there. I think we'll look at Charity Link, I think it is. So I think we have other organisations and local employers. I think we need to work together with other people more. Let's not forget foundation. One of the things when I was doing my presidential training was the reminder about foundation, which is Rotary's own charity. I certainly think there's an argument that Rotary Foundation make that where possible we should try to use Rotary Foundation and make donations via our own charity rather than just simply making donations to other charities. I think it's a great organisation. It's a worldwide charity. The End Polio Now campaign is a big thing, which is lots of other things. And I know our own club has benefited. I think the Gondor project benefited from a grant, I think, from that, or maybe a district grant. And possibly a visitor centre, but I think it's a good thing. I know John and Rodney will know what projects would benefit from that in the past, but we've certainly benefited. Now there is a £100 per member donation goal or target, I think, and it'd be good if the club, I think historically we do make it, but occasionally it's topped up from other charitable resources that the club have. So it would be good if members could support that. And that equates to £73 per member per year, or certainly did when I did it. Obviously, with exchange rates, it moves around a little bit. Reminder on End Polio Now. I would say it's our biggest achievement, or it's almost our biggest achievement, because we're not quite there yet. There is an element of possibly exhaustion, given it's been going on for so long, and there is this perhaps argument about when does it end. But even in the relatively short time that I've been a member, we've gone from 3 countries being endemic with polio down to 1, I think, now. So that's a massive improvement, and we are that close. And I think the last year or so under the pandemic, it shows us what threat diseases are. And we're very lucky in the UK and in the West because polio isn't a threat. But it seems to me sensible and probably would save money in the long term if we can and finish that job, end polio, and then in the future there won't be a need to vaccinate people because it won't exist. So I think that'd be good. So again, if we could support that moving forward, would be nice. And my charity of the year is the Xectodermal Dysplasia Society. My two boys actually have a genetic condition, which is X-linked hypohydrotic ectodermal dysplasia, which is there's about 200 diseases. Fundamentally, it affects the development of hair, skin, and teeth when babies are being developed. So the charity is dedicated to improving the health and well-being of those people affected. One of the issues is that not many people have heard of it, as with a lot of rare diseases. And when I first came across it, one of the first references I could find to the disease was actually, it was in a medical exam. I knew what the disease was. I Googled it, and there was actually a test paper who tested new doctors. So they had somebody coming in with the symptoms, and the doctor had to work out what disease they had. And that's one of the jobs they do, supporting people. There's some people with the condition. If this plays, I have a video that is actually basically my story. So I'll just see if this plays. If not, just 1 second, maybe not. Just go back 1 second. It's not play. Not sure if it plays with Google. If you go to the website, there's a little video on there which is basically my story of my involvement with the society. But in summary, the three things that I think as a club should be doing is impact, doing more for people, and continuing to do the great work we do and more. Reach, telling people about it, both face to face and social and online with social media and things. Collaborating with ourselves, working on projects or organisations or the Rotary clubs, etc. And building on what Parmdeep said, a case of doing more and telling people about it. I think that's important for not only what we do, but also for the future of the club. Looking forward to a great year, all being a bit nervous. Hopefully we're starting to move back into more face-to-face meetings. Just on that subject, the plan is that when we hopefully move towards face-to-face meetings, which will be from August, the intention is to run them as hybrid meetings. So you'll have both the option of attending online and physically. So for people who are still concerned about face-to-face, there will be a continued opportunity to maintain membership. Fundamentally, that's it. Hopefully that went well.
All right.
Cheers. Thank you. Stop share. Excellent. Has anybody got any questions? No, I can't see any questions. So, I'll be honest, I'm not entirely sure what to do at this point, as I've been waiting for questions. But fundamentally, it's fine, yeah. Excellent. So that's in summary what we do. Hope to see you all at the meetings, both Zoom and face-to-face when we restart them. Hope to work with everybody in the club, and hope to just continue doing more good work. Oh, Richard.
Yeah. Scott, Eddie's supposed to make some comments here as the AG.
Fine. That's thanks for keeping me on track. That's appreciated. Where is Eddie? Is Eddie unmuted?
Yeah.
There you go. Can you unmute yourself, Eddie?
Yes, I have indeed, Scott. Thank you. A few things to say, really, and everything is terrifically positive. I think you're quite right to highlight membership as a key issue, because it's bang in line with DG David Morris's own aims. So you'll get a lot of support from him, top downwards, right through to public image, which is going to be me this year, and indeed liaising with Richard, who, from an AG's point of view, will be more than your right hand if you decide you need that sort of assistance. Also, I think you're very wise to be guided by Rotary's own action plan, as you've outlined, impact, reach, engagement, etc. They're very good priorities as a route to moving the club forward with. And I think that's really an enlightened view from your point of view. Last year, you had an excellent year. The use of Zoom, I thought, was extremely positive. It enriched meetings. It also encouraged you as a club, I think, to think outside the box. That expanded a lot of activities that you had in mind. And in a year of contextual constraints, your club really thrived in real terms. So well done from that point of view. I very much approve of the plan to build on last year's successful developments pioneered by Parmdeep, and it looks like it's going to be a smooth takeover, move along the same avenue of progress, which can only be good for the club, particularly with the view of your Rotary group, using their youthful zeal and their ideas, making them feel part of your club structure and the wider world of Rotary will only add to your club's well-being and accelerate your expansive ideas. You're quite right to ascertain that Rotary is poor at telling people about its successes. We're not very good at shouting from the rooftops the really wonderful things that our movement does and what it stands for. In the words of someone in the past, I'm not sure whether it was Dick Parsley or someone like that, he said that there are a lot of Rotarians out there, they just don't know that they're Rotarians. I think that's quite a clever saying. Great idea to cash in on the advantages of all your corporate and family membership and the fact that you're into the community. It gives you a great opportunity to engage many volunteers. Working alongside volunteers gives you a chance to decide whether you think they'll be suitable members for your club. And of course, the reciprocal arrangement applies. So the more volunteers you can get on a temporary basis, leads one to think that today's volunteers are tomorrow's Rotarians. Each one brings one, Shaker Maker's claim, quite right. If we can get somewhere near that, you will have no problems with your membership. The problem you might have is getting new members of the quality of your existing members, because that's what's clear to me. Everything I've heard from the Secretary's report, due to Parmdeep and your own citation, there's a lot of quality, a lot of work going on every field. International is amazing. What you do on the international front is absolutely wonderful. And just a final thing to say, none of it could be done without the strong, committed service of your support officers. They're the ones who build the stage for you to become successful. And finally, in the realms of charity, I know Scott's charities were relatively small, but all the more reason, I'm sure, that your members will support it. So thank you, Scott.
Cheers, thank you very much, Eddie. Any other questions? No. Richard?
Yeah, can I just thank Eddie for what he said, and also for stepping up to the plate over the last year to stand in as AG for Area 7 in the absence of any other volunteers, and hopefully I'll be able to follow him with as much zeal. And I think just to congratulate Parmdeep on his outstanding leadership and enthusiasm over the last year, because I think it's been absolutely phenomenal. And I look forward to working as your AG over the next, well, certainly 1 year, possibly beyond that, but also to ensure that we do develop Rotary in Leicester as well as Leicester Rotary. I think we're a fantastic city, and Leicester deserves to have much more Rotary presence than it already does. So that's all I have to say.
Thank you very much, Richard.
Thank you, Richard. Thank you, Richard. It's been a pleasure and honour, guys. Thank you very much for having me.
Excellent. I think it just leaves me to call this meeting adjourned, and hope to see you. We've got a meeting next week, which is the 12th of July. So hopefully see everybody here then. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye.
Cheers,
Bye.
Bye, Diana.
Ladies.